60% of retired NBA players go broke. But these days, it seems the future of NBA players after basketball is podcasting.
A lot of guys are doing podcasts these days, but not everybody deserves a podcast.
Like, there's so many. And who knows, maybe Nikola Jokić can start his own podcast since he admits they ask better questions there.
The fact that even though you hate media, you know, I hit you and I was like, bro, would you hop on this podcast? And you're like, yeah, bro, anytime, whenever you want. Like, I think that's another thing I admire about you. So I just appreciate you getting on.
Of course, I'm not gonna lie, the best questions since I came to the NBA, for real.
But making the transition after retirement into anything, including business, can be hard. So hard that most still struggle with it.
Life after the NBA is cold, my nigga. You gotta refine yourself. If anybody say this shit is fun, this shit ain't fun.
But why is the transition so hard to make? For most NBA players, the hardest part of their career does not happen on the court. It happens the moment the game ends. Retirement in the NBA is not a slow fade. It is a hard cut. The unforgettable Kobe Bryant understood that reality better than most.
Here's the problem. Once you retire, you don't have that source of income that's coming in, right? So even if you save over a 15-year career, if your spending habits remain the same, eventually that well's going to run dry.
Many players learn about this too late, and it's no wonder because their careers usually begin while they were just kids. And ever since, it's been from playing to training to games to fights, injuries, parties, and just constant drama. There's never really any time to stop and remember that the show ends while they're still in their late 30s or early 40s. Kenyon Martin explains what fills that empty space for many former players.
It's the time you have, trying to fill that void. Some people have things going on where they can, family, businesses, etc. Some people don't. Some people find comfort in eating.
That void is dangerous because it demands to be filled. Without preparation, players reach for anything that numbs the silence. Food, spending, bad habits. The problem is not lack of effort. It is a lack of guidance. Most players were never taught how to exist without basketball. Gilbert Arenas describes that moment with brutal honesty.
Who are you?
Right.
I was a basketball motherfucker player. Now, who are you? Who are you? Bitch, I don't know. I've been a basketball player since I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was 10. Like, I'm 10 years old. So 10 to 35, but 20-something years of being a basketball player. Rules, structure, this. Now you're saying, all right, have fun.
That loss of structure is jarring. There is no coach setting the schedule, no season to prepare for, no clear sense of progress. And on top of that, life does not pause just because the game is over and now you have to catch up.
Whose kids is these? All of them? They all mine? You sure?
Mine?
And he looked like mine, but I don't. Oh, okay, they all, okay, all right.
All of them.
How old are you? Damn. When I have you? 2000, okay.
That was a long time ago.
You start trying to figure out now you're trying to figure out how to be a dad.
So for decades, this is where many players struggled the most. They had money, memories, and recognition, but no framework for what came next. And when that identity gap goes unaddressed, it becomes dangerous because people will always search for something to replace what they lost. This is where the new future of NBA players after basketball begins. Podcasting did not become popular among NBA players by accident. It filled a need that had existed for years. A place to talk, a place to reflect, a place to stay connected to the game without needing to play it. For players like Gilbert Arenas, the idea started simply.
Sometimes you create a show.
Find somebody to talk to.
Yeah, that's it. Find somebody to talk to. Hey, you want to talk? Hey, I won't talk.
Don't talk through the work. Just don't do that.
Sometimes you find a couch full of people to talk to when you start a show called Gil's Arena Presents.
That simplicity is exactly why podcasting works. There are no gatekeepers, no producers telling players to clean up their stories, no pressure to perform a version of themselves that no longer fits. It becomes a modern locker room, but one that the public has access to.
I think that's what these podcasts are starting to become, a way for us to share those stories of what things that happen, kind of recollect on the things that we made mistakes on, try to really come to terms with ourselves and understand.
That is the shift. Podcasting is not just content, it is processing. It gives former players a way to stay relevant without pretending to be something they're not. It allows them to pass down lessons, admit failures, and remain part of the basketball ecosystem. And just as importantly, it gives fans something they have always wanted: honest stories from people who were actually there. You see, the fans have always wanted a different kind of basketball conversation. For years, most NBA coverage came filtered through press conferences, talking heads, and narratives shaped far away from the locker room. Player Podcast cut straight through that. Fans want to hear stories the way they were actually lived. They want to understand how decisions are made, how egos clash, how mistakes happen, and what the league really feels like from the inside. When former players speak openly, it humanizes the game in a way traditional media never could. Player Podcast work because they do not pretend. They replace polished narratives with lived experience. But at the end of the day, being on a podcast doesn't pay like basketball, so what next? Talking helps, but the difference between surviving after basketball and thriving comes down to preparation. This is where former players like CJ McCollum represent a different approach, one built on intention, patience, and long-term thinking.
This portfolio that I would say is moderately aggressive. Obviously, I'm still young, and hopefully I have 40, 50, 60 years left of productivity and a healthy quality of life. But I think for us, it's about base hits and doubles. I'm in probably on the higher side alternatives, probably 7 to 10%. Obviously, I'm in the wine business.
That mindset is rare, and not many retired players can pull it off. However, CJ McCollum did it, and he did it by putting his money into things like this.
The beverage, the wine, agriculture, farm sector, we have a nursery. And then obviously, there's the real estate and those things, but we learn a little bit more about venture and just kind of dabbling in different areas. But I think the key is, base hits and singles. And if you follow the big stocks, you follow the ones that everyone has historically followed, you generally can't go wrong.
That approach contrasts sharply with the cautionary stories of past generations. Podcasting may keep a player connected, but financial literacy determines whether that connection turns into security. CJ's blueprint shows what happens when players start planning for life after basketball while they're still in the league. But to do this, Kobe Bryant once made an important recommendation that helped him. What ultimately separates players who struggle after basketball from those who build something lasting is structure. Kobe Bryant understood this early in his post-playing life. Even with his resume, he did not assume that he could figure everything out on his own.
As well, I work very, very closely with Mark Parker, and Mark has been a great mentor of mine for years. I mean, there's times where I can't sleep, and I'll shoot Mark a text message about, I'm having trouble building this company here. What do you think about this, that, and the other? How did you do it? And he gives me very detailed responses.
Having someone to guide Kobe in financial matters helped him establish himself and family before his passing. Many other legends like Michael Jordan and even LeBron James have people in their corner in the financial world. Also, podcasting fits into that structure perfectly. It gives players a platform, a routine, and a sense of purpose. But more importantly, it connects them to a community, former teammates, opponents, fans, people who understand the life they lived and the transition they're going through. For decades, life after the NBA was defined by uncertainty. Shaquille O'Neal has often talked about this, losing his family and advising people to avoid making that mistake.
My advice to you is if you are going to retire,
Yes.
accept it. Enjoy your family, brother.
Thank you.
I made a lot of dumb mistakes to where I lost my family and I didn't have anybody.
That's a common mistake that can only be avoided when retired players are made aware of the pitfalls. Right now, podcasting is a way to find balance and maybe even a new family. Combined with financial discipline, mentorship, and early planning, it can become the new future of NBA players after basketball. One player that's doing good already in the podcast space is Paul George. And you can get the gist on how NBA players really feel about him here.